I'm Kate Conroy.
And I'm Vanessa Vitello.
And this is Other People's Business, which is the podcast from the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, the largest statewide business association in the country. We release a new episode every other Wednesday, so be on the lookout for that. Maybe subscribe if you feel like it. That would be awesome. Shout out to New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group. They provide home, auto, and workers' comp, so check them out if you need some updated coverage.
Yeah, I mean, you totally stole my thunder again. I'm going to do it anyway, whatever.
Do it.
Yeah, so like Kate said, we air every other Wednesday on your podcast network of choice, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon's Alexa, anywhere you can get a podcast. We're absolutely going to be there. If you don't want to be bothered with, like, are they new this week? Is it next week? Because it's every other week. Just subscribe. njbia.org/subscribe. They'll let you know whenever we're new. So with us today from Hummel Integrated Marketing Solutions is Mark Hurwitz. So Mark, say hi. Let the audience hear your voice.
Hey, hi, Mark Hurwitz, Hummel Integrated Marketing Solutions. We are a commercial printer and direct mail house based in Union, New Jersey. And it's a fourth-generation family business, been around since 1884.
Wow, that's a really cool story. All right, excellent. So we're going to get more into what you do, but first we're going to ask you an icebreaker question. Would you rather have a completely automated home or a self-driving car?
It's an either-or here?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would probably say the home. Self-driving cars make me a little nervous, even though my son-in-law has a Tesla, and I've driven in it, and in its almost self-driving mode. But
What's almost self-driving mode?
Talk more about that.
Literally, we drove to a wedding, my wife and I, and my daughter and my son-in-law, in a Tesla X on Eastern Long Island. And when I guess we got over like the George Washington Bridge, he put it into auto mode, and the car drove itself to Long Island for literally, he would touch the wheel when it got a warning signal. And
What gives it a warning?
all the sensor package, if somebody starts to drift into your lane or...
And it can't handle that?
I'm not sure, okay?
This is the almost, but
it does give you warnings, and it literally almost drove us all the way out to the destination without any real human intervention, and that is including, because he set the cruise and everything, so if you wanted to stay at 55 miles an hour, it would pass when it could and go back into lane, and
it was pass? Yeah, all by itself?
At least it seemed to me. Again, I'm sure you Tesla owners out there will, probably phone in or email in.
Please do.
It was very, very impressive. But I'm very old school, and I don't know if I can fully trust a vehicle that's driving itself.
Especially when it's almost driving itself.
Well, yeah. So anyway, I hope you can get some guy from Tesla to come in because it's really neat technology. I have test driven one myself besides, riding in my son-in-law's, and I believe I even drove his car once. It's a very cool piece of technology and a rocket ship because it's electric, and when you stomp on the accelerator, it's like Star Wars. It's like
wow. So that is exactly how I would answer as well. I would prefer the house to the car because the house, I don't think, could kill me. Meanwhile, I know. So now I'm thinking about Hal from...
Sure, yes, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Thank you. Yeah. But when I think of a fully automated house, I think of like Alexas in every room and, automated lights as I walk toward the room and, a Roomba just to handle everything, and the fridge cleans itself and the oven cleans itself, and that's what I imagine a fully automated home is like. And if the choices between that and the car, even if the car wouldn't ever kill me, I'd just much rather drive myself to work and not worry about the house. It'd be great if the house just handled itself. It's a much bigger job.
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't watch besides 2001 iRobot.
Yeah,
right. Talk about the house killing you. Oh man.
Yeah, I have the fully integrated house. I think I'm still going to go with that. I mean, I don't have a self-cleaning refrigerator. I don't even know how that would work. Like a little robot hand just picks out the milk and drops it.
So in my head, what I imagine that to be is like you have to clean out the contents yourself.
Okay.
But then you close and lock the fridge and put in soap like as if it were a dishwasher, and you turn it on and it just like suds up and hot water and like fully cleans the inside of your fridge for you, and then the water drains out like as if it were also part dishwasher. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be, but I mean, like, how often are you really doing that with the fridge anyway? Like, doing the cleaning, you know? I mean, you should do it pretty regularly.
That's what I'm saying. We don't do it as
I mean,
often
we
as
do it like
should.
once a year, you know, like
I haven't done it
Once a year?
once a year, like a full scrubbing out of the inside of the fridge, you know, like soap and water and all that. Probably about once a year.
I thought we were getting into the odd couple here, where is it very old meat or very new cheese?
Yeah. No, like going through and like deciding, all right, is this expired? That happens on the regular.
Yeah.
But like
Soap
it's
and
so much
water.
work taking literally everything out of the
agree.
fridge. It's just it never happens.
I agree.
Yeah, other than that, I've got pretty much everything else automated. It's nice, and like the self-driving car thing scares the crap out of me. So yeah.
Although I am so curious to learn more about it. Like, passing all by itself?
Yeah.
That just seems impossible. But maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's a true thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a tech junkie. Emerging technologies always really excite me. And I was watching a movie. It was Logan. And
Logan.
Yeah, Logan takes place something like 10, 20 years in the future.
Right.
And if it was one of those things where if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss it. But they were driving somewhere, and as the trucks were passing them, they didn't have, I guess you would call them cockpits. Like there was no area where a human being could sit, but they weren't like pointing it out or playing it up. It was just one of those things, like matter of life. We don't need drivers anymore. Like
I miss that. I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
I know,
movie.
and that was one of those things. Like I was like, wow, yeah. I mean, it would change the world. I mean, you could just think about all the things that would happen once like automated cars are totally 100%. We trust them. Which we're not there yet, but one day we probably will be.
Does the Teamsters Union?
I was just thinking
know.
about the union. They would not be
Yeah.
happy.
I wonder how they're reacting to that now. I mean,
But it is coming.
Yeah.
This is all coming in our lifetime, or at least in your lifetime. I mean,
hey, I mean, come on.
I think it's coming sooner.
It's coming
than
in
we
your
think.
lifetime.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if we're getting to a point where there just will not be drivers on the road within maybe even our lifetimes, but yeah.
I mean, there certainly will be passengers. Like, if I'm in a self-driving car, do I get in the passenger side?
But like, do you believe that there will not, like, we will be at a point where there is literally nowhere to sit in the front of the car? Like, they don't even build the section of the car for you to sit in within our lifetimes? I don't think so.
No.
I think, first of all, we're always going to have, like, classic cars on the road. Even classic could be like a 2019 by that point.
a driving car,
Right.
a self-driving car, but now the classic car is one that you have a steering wheel.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see it happening anytime soon. But
Me neither.
yeah, the houses are nice. I mean, there's always the trade-off. There are some times where I'll like mute the thing because it's very Big Brother and I don't want it listening to like whatever I'm saying. But the trade-offs are worth it.
So I recently learned that Alexa records everything that you say, every query, every request. And I'm not.
And then a lot of excess stuff too. You have to go in and like delete stuff that you don't want it to keep track of.
She also records excess stuff?
So I like how you called it she, by the way.
Because in my heart, she's a she.
In your heart of hearts, it's a girl. No, if it mistakenly thinks that you said the wake up word, and I won't do it for the sake of our people listening to this in a house or whatever, then it starts to listen for like a good 20 or 30 seconds, and it'll just record whatever it is. And so there's a lot of words that sound like, I'll just say it. There's a lot of words that sound like echo. So if that's your wake word, some people use computer as their wake word, and that can come up in conversation every so often, Amazon is one of the possible wake words. That comes up in our lives a lot more often than you would think.
I set mine up differently. I have a routine. I don't have a wake word. So
how do you talk to it?
So in the morning, after the alarm goes off, I'll like start to do a little meditation, and then I think I have it set for 5:40. She will say something like, good morning, and give me the weather and traffic just for the day without me asking for it. There is no wake word.
So then you don't like turn on and off the lights or anything.
I do that.
So what do you do with that?
I say, Alexa, bedroom on.
There's your wake word.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
So
I thought you meant when I wake up. You mean when to get her to wake up.
Yes. So
Sorry,
if it thinks it heard the wake word, it'll do it. It happens in my car a lot. I was listening to The Lost World, Jurassic Park. And one of the characters' names is Lex. It was the girl.
Oh.
And it constantly thought it was hearing me say Alexa. And I'm like, no, for sake. Can we get on board with the idea that one of the characters in this novel is named Lex?
That's funny.
Yeah. And then it'll just record the next 20 seconds of whatever it hears or so.
And you know how to delete the recordings?
Yeah, you can go in and do it, but it's tedious. Plus, my kid is triggering it all day long. Like my kid will walk up to it and just start talking to it, and then it hears whatever we're doing in the background. So, yeah.
And this could be very Big Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mega data.
So I'd like to see much like I'd like improvements to the cars, I'd like improvements to the houses. I mean, I think there's definitely room for improvement. It's also very choppy. I have to give very specific commands to get it to do what I want to do. I want, in the movies where you can just have a flowing conversation with this. I mean, that's going to take, much better AI, which is a very scary thing in the first place.
Yeah.
But it would be cool.
It would be cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway.
All right.
With that out of the way, Mark, tell us more about... I want to get this right. Hummel Integrated Marketing Solutions?
Yeah.
Hummel Integrated Marketing.
See, I'm gonna just put this on the table. When he came in, it was just Hummel. And then he was like, no, it's Hummel Integrated Marketing Solutions. And I'm like, I'm never gonna remember that.
But
I did. So, booyah.
Well done.
Go ahead.
Good. Well, Hummel is a commercial printer and a direct mail house. It started out in 1884. Printing handbills and putting newsboys in wagons, taking them to Newark and Elizabeth and distributing these handbills door to door. And that was before there was direct mail.
Handbills for what?
Any kind of thing, hair tonic and, apples or whatever advertising that we think today is direct mail. There was no direct mail.
There was
in the
Not with
19th
you
century.
today, but do you have any back in the office?
Unfortunately, I
that
don't
would be
know.
so cool if there was a glass frame up on the wall with one of the original.
I should ask John Hummel if he has any stashed
That'd
in
be
the
great.
family archive. There is a wonderful picture of great granddad on the wall, the founder of the business. Then in the early 20th century, we got into direct mail when the post office invented direct mail. We do so much direct mail today, we actually have our own post office in the building, which is very unique for a printer.
The post office wasn't around until the early 20th century?
No, direct mail.
Direct mail as a thing.
Business standard direct mail, the kind of thing that the post office promotes every day and has for over a century, was invented as a type of way of expanding the U.S. Post Office and obviously advertising business and marketing business. Obviously, as we've talked about technology, everything is changed and direct mail has shrunk, but now it's expanding again because what has happened? Our inboxes, our email inboxes in business and at home are just flooded with junk mail. And all we do is spend our time going delete. We all do it.
Yeah.
Pro tip, unsubscribe. It's there for a reason. Yeah.
And our mailboxes have become emptier. So now when you go to your mailbox and somebody sends you a direct mail piece, there isn't that much advertising clutter in your mailbox, your physical mailbox.
You might actually look at it.
Well, you actually do look at it because as you stand over your recycling bin, you make a conscious decision and you look at it. You don't, your email, delete, gone. Did you even look at the subject line? No, because if you weren't looking for it or if it isn't something you've subscribed to, it isn't of interest to you. Now you're standing over your recycling bin and you actually look at it and make a decision. Oh, hey, wait a minute. This is something that I might use. And you put it in the bill rack or you put it on that, little pile where you keep stuff. And meanwhile, oh, this isn't for me. And it goes right into the recycling bin. Wow. But you've read the message.
I like how you're, I don't even know if there's a word for this, but the amount of time, ideally someone is looking at an ad, you are basically saying it's like right here standing over the recycling bin and you get 3 seconds or so. That's scary from a marketing perspective,
But you make that decision, are you going to digest it by putting it aside? Whereas with an e-blast, right, it doesn't even get opened. It doesn't even get read. It's gone.
Yep.
So you have that either possible 3-second look or longer, or nothing, zero. I think the statistics I read recently was that a sale from an e-blast comes out like 0.00125, where direct mail is still pulling like 1 or 2% completion.
Wow.
People will actually react to it. Now, with direct mail, you still have to connect in this day and age with a web address, with a QR code, with a personalized URL, with augmented reality, AR, which is the latest and the greatest, where you can do print and you could scan it with your phone and suddenly, you have...
I've never heard that phrase, augmented reality.
So augmented reality is like, all right, Pokemon Go, you had you didn't get into that at all. Everybody on Earth but Kate got into Pokemon Go for like a week there.
Right.
So you would be carrying your phone around and your phone was looking at, this wall or that tree or whatever. And then all of a sudden a little Pokemon would walk out. And if you were looking through your phone, you'd watch him walking out in front of that tree, but obviously he's not there in real life. That's augmented reality. It's like adding a little something to the reality you're looking at.
So, and with augmented reality on a print piece, whereas a QR code, you scan it, you go to one website. Augmented reality, you could have many triggers on that page. So when you hold your phone up and you're looking at it, suddenly you could see those triggers. And when you hit that, you can go to more than one place. So depending on the messaging, you could get different things from one ad. It's really very interesting technology, and it runs off of a print piece. To wrap up about direct mail, since we've been a major player for over 100 years with the post office, we do so much in volume that we have our own post office in the building, we can actually offer our customers the lowest possible postage rates and faster service. We're doing all the work for the post office. The post office actually gives Hummel a discount because we're doing all the work, and we bring it back to their DMU, their direct mail unit, post office in the back of our building. All they have to do is weigh it, verify it, put it on the truck. Done. Okay, we've done everything else. We've done all the sorting, traying, the paperwork, whatever, and it's gone. And therefore, we also get it speeded along, because instead of going in the bottom of the mail stream by putting it on the platform at the local post office and then having to have it get sorted out and then trickle down and sorted out again, we get a day or more quicker delivery, because when it leaves the back of my building, it is in the mail stream. So the direct mail part of the business is one that has stabilized and is growing. We're about to go into political season. If you think about it,
about to.
The political mail is a major part of our business, and we do all sorts of consumer, business to consumer, business to business. If you guys get any circulars or postcards from ShopRite Wake Firm,
Sure.
They're probably one of our biggest corporate accounts. We do all of their work. So if you got those in your mailboxes, we printed it, we mailed it. Political season, the national guys can tweet and get coverage everywhere. But do you know who is your city councilman? Do you know who your freeholder is? Do you know who your state senator is? All the local politicians have
I know the
to
answers
use
to
direct
some of
mail.
those things,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to cop to which ones. So there you go.
That's true.
Okay.
Some, not all.
But to be able to get their message to their constituents, the only way to do that is really direct mail, to get that important message on election day to go in the mailbox to tell their story. And we do a huge amount of political direct mail every year, where they're running us 24/7, and we've done everything from national campaign of 25 million postcards mailed nationwide out of the back of our building, to the local, city councilman, where you're doing thousands. So it's all a matter of scale. It's an interesting part of the business. The growing part of our business is our commercial print. And in commercial printing, we both do digital and offset. We have invested on the digital side. The latest and greatest is our Konica Minolta KM1 digital press. It's about I think $1.5 million worth of technology.
Wow.
It's the size of a large truck.
Could have bought like 3 Teslas or something, you know?
Yeah. But what's great about this is this thing can run on a 23 by 29 inch sheet. So instead of, up to this point, all digital presses were kind of like a copy machine where you had to cut the sheet down and put it in a drawer, which limits how many pieces you can put up on a sheet of paper. This is built on a press technology. It's got a Konica Minolta top, brain, and head, and the bottom of it is a Komori printing press, offset press. It's also UV inkjet, which is the latest technology. So when it prints, it goes through UV lights.
Yeah, I was going to say, what does the ultraviolet light do for the printing?
It instantly sets the ink. So when it comes out,
it's dry?
Both dry, waterproof, and scratch-proof.
I'm impressed.
So,
okay.
Really cool.
So that allows us to print on all kinds of substrates. We can print on paper. We can print on
faces, apparently.
Textured stock, canvas. This one is pressure-sensitive material that can go on windows and walls. Cover stock, flexible vinyl, synthetic paper. You can print on all these different stocks because you're literally inkjetting the ink on, and then it is being cured instantly when it comes out.
Looks beautiful for an inkjet.
It's incredible technology. And being that it's digital, it gives us full variable capability. So for instance, with ShopRite, you're probably now seeing more and more personalized coupons. Instead of just getting general coupons on your postcard, you're suddenly getting a piece where there's specific coupons because they know from your cash register tape what you're buying. So now they're sending you something saying like, hey, here's a promotion on Pampers, but by the way, steak is on sale, and we're,
Big Brother.
I know, right? We were just talking about that.
So they know what. So to get you to come back in the store,
Wow.
a couple of those coupons are things you always buy, and they're mixing it up. But we can print on that 23 by 29 inch sheet, a number of different postcards all at the same time, all of them personalized, all of them addressed, and all of them with personalized
ads. Yeah.
That's amazing.
with personalized coupons to that recipient. And that is where the future, like direct mail, is, because the whole thing is, what's the message going to the consumer? It's that individualized thing for that call to action. And if you're sending me something that's all about Mark Hurwitz and what I like and what I buy, if you send me a promotional piece and it's got pictures of Gen Xers on it, how's it going to speak to me when I'm a baby boomer? And vice versa. Would you send something to my daughter, who's just turned 30, something with senior citizens, and expect her to react? Where you can now change and swap out the pictures.
Wow.
And do this all on the press. All of these pieces of information are kept on the memory on the press and driven by a database, told when to drop into their little boxes. So you build a template, you drop all this information in.
Brave new world in which we live and grow.
Yeah. So, it's interesting you started this out about self-driving vehicles and self-cleaning houses.
Yeah, we had no idea we were going in this direction.
Yeah, and in our business.
Wait. So how do you tie it to the specific person? Because it's not like I I guess I do have an account at ShopRite. Never mind. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So ShopRite knows all about you,
Sure.
and probably knows more about you than you want to know.
I guess so.
And,
I guess as
therefore-
long as it's convenient for me, like you're giving me coupons to things I would otherwise buy. I mean, hey, great, but
Because they want you to come back to them,
Sure.
not go down to the next local supermarket or the supermarket
it.
in the next town. They want you to go, to them to do do
I mean, does anybody really go to the next town for groceries? Like, if you don't have to, like, I mean, if you have like a perfectly good, I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes
I just know in my neighborhood, like ShopRite has no competitor. We shop there because it's good and because we don't really have much of a choice.
Yeah.
So if they want to give me coupons that are tailored to me, great. But if they didn't, I don't know that I.
For a long time.
being in New Jersey, and everything, because of competition in the world, everything is like one strike baseball. Okay, you can order your groceries online.
Oh, yeah.
If you walk into a supermarket now and the aisles are dirty or it's cluttered, it isn't convenient, they don't have the brand you want to get.
Yeah.
Then you know what? When I'm driving home, I go past that other competitor. I'll stop in there, And then if you stop in there and suddenly it's cleaner or it's got what all of a sudden,
I get you.
it's a very competitive world out there.
I agree.
So, so variable information printing is our future, and that's why we've invested in the latest technology. Meanwhile, there's still a place in the world for offset printing. We have two Heidelberg 40-inch presses, which are the traditional offset presses. They're 6-color with coating. And there, if you have a static postcard, like those political mailings, we'll be cranking them out by the hundreds of thousands on a standard, offset press. So we've got the KM1 for the high-end and short run and VI. We've got the offset. We have smaller presses, and we also have smaller digital Konica Minoltas, for doing simple projects. So we hope to be a one-stop shop when somebody needs either a commercial printer or direct mail, and we're certainly not, a quick printer that you're pulling off the highway or you run down to the
like
corner to make
Staples or
Xerox.
Kinko's,
We are a commercial outfit. We'll take on small jobs, and we do a lot of small jobs, but we're set up to work with major players, and we work with a lot of designers. On our direct mail side, we have a lot of printers that send us work that they've printed, and they'll just use us as a mailing house.
Sure.
So it's an interesting world of where we are in a changing print environment.
That is a lot of information. I feel like I got a nice education there. So I think we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we're going to play a quick game.
Cool.
All right. And we're back, and it is now time to play the game that I love the most, called Awful or Awesome. I'm going to name 3 things, and we each have to decide quickly if they're awful or awesome and be prepared to defend our answers. Ready?
Okay.
First up, historical movies and TV shows.
Aha.
Yes. Now, I mention historical movies and TV shows because you happen to have a specialty when it comes to stuff like this.
Wait. So let me just ask a clarifying question.
Yes.
Are we talking about really old movies or movies about really old things?
Movies about really old things.
Okay.
Historical events. Movies about historical events.
Okay.
Yeah, so like Gone with the Wind or The Cult of Outlander. Everybody under the sun.
Although now Gone with the Wind would probably fall into both categories, but
You're right. You're totally right.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, my background, my avocation, when I'm not out selling print marketing material, is that I do Revolutionary War reenacting. Matter of fact, I am a past commander of the Brigade of the American Revolution, which is the national organization dedicated to recreating the life and times of the common soldier of the American Revolution. So we were literally sitting at NJBIA headquarters on Lafayette Street in Trenton, New Jersey.
Shout out.
Around the corner from the Trenton Barracks, which was the focal point of the Battle of Trenton.
So if you ever go down to the barracks, stop by.
Yeah. Come visit.
And I have not only done the reenactment of the Battle of Trenton since the bicentennial, but for at least the last 10 years, I've had the great pleasure of being asked by the Old Barracks Museum to narrate the battle for the public, both at the Battle Monument on the top of the hill and at Mill Hill Park. So I've had the honor of becoming the Howard Cosell of the American Revolution, because I've been narrating reenactments at Monmouth Battlefield, the Battle of Springfield this year in Springfield, New Jersey, Battle of Stony Point in the Hudson Valley. So it's a fun avocation in doing that. But because the Brigade of the American Revolution is all about authenticity, when it comes to Hollywood, I guess I'm going to have to say that would be awful. Because the costume movies are, for the most part, pretty awful. Yeah. And for somebody, my wife's in the hobby also. When we, go and you sit in the theater, and if they don't get it right,
what's your margin of error?
Ours is pretty high.
Oh, okay.
But when they do get it right, it's like, hey, the people really paid attention, or they got the right advisors, or they tried really hard, and that usually sucks you right in.
Can you think of one that you saw that you thought really did do it particularly well? Yeah. Or even one on the opposite end of the spectrum, one that you were just freaking out in the theater, like, come on!
Like a period piece that was like awesome was a movie, Dangerous Liaisons, with Glenn Close. I don't know if
Michelle Pfeiffer,
yeah. Glenn Close. That was post-revolutionary. That's like 1780s, 1790s, pre-French Revolution. But the clothing was spectacular. They really did it to the nines and got it right. And it added so much to the whole thing. And then you get movies like Mel Gibson's The Patriot.
Yeah.
Where part of it is wonderful, and they got a lot of things right, and then they get to some of the stuff awful. My wife cringed when one of the heroines is running around in her stays, and as a gentlewoman, she would never be stays with the undergarment.
Oh, okay.
That stiffened bone corset.
The corset.
Okay.
Right.
But as an upper class Southern woman, who owned a plantation, there's no way you're going to be running around in your corset in front in front of the help and everybody else.
Yeah.
What were they thinking? Sure.
They were thinking skin sells movie tickets.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Nothing like a corset to get the guys going.
Years ago, the Brigade of the American Revolution was actually hired as extras for Alan Alda's movie called Sweet Liberty. You probably could get it streaming. It was never big. It was very cute, and the premise was, and we worked very closely with Alan Alda, who's from North Jersey. He had said that the Hollywood people came to him and said, write us a mash about the American Revolution.
Oh my God.
And he realized he couldn't. You can't make the American Revolution funny. Even Hamilton isn't funny.
No.
But what he did was he turned it around and said, what does Hollywood do to history? And he wrote a movie about a college professor who writes a history book that gets bought by Hollywood, and then the director goes about trying to make a Hollywood movie from history. And I think he said that with the three major things, you got to defy authority, destroy property, and take your clothes off. So that was the three themes of the movie. And it's an amusing movie. I would really
Sweet Liberty.
Sweet Liberty by Alan Alda.
Right.
I believe it was the early '80s, mid '80s that it came out.
To check that out.
Check it out. It's a kind of a lost classic, but it's an Alan Alda movie, and Michelle Pfeiffer's in it.
Wow. Was
1776 pretty funny? I'm trying to remember.
The musical?
Yeah, the musical.
No.
I remember there being some comedic moments.
There were moments, but
when he says you can't make the American Revolution funny, that was the first thing that jumped in there.
You do have a point there. Yeah. But then again, it was a
Feeney
musical.
It was a musical comedy.
It was a musical. But when you think of MASH, which was a black comedy, and that dark humor and stuff. But, you can't, I could see where Alan Alda was coming from, because if you even look at Hamilton, and there are amusing things going on, and there's, even amusing songs, but it's not like...
It's not comedy.
It's not comedy. It's not slapstick, and you can only go so far when you take these iconic people from the founding generation of our history. Even though I do believe that George Washington put his britches on one leg at a time, like everybody else did. So he's not a man of marble. He was a human being. So I vote that the costume movie would be, for the most part, awful. Unless they try really hard.
I would have to say the same. But mostly, I don't notice the clothes and the guns and things like that. I notice the history. If they get, like, a piece of the history substantially wrong, it really bothers me. Okay. Like, oh, God.
Can you name an example?
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to think of her name. Catherine of Aragon, I think. Henry VIII's first wife was Catherine of Aragon, and she was a Spanish princess. And she's very often portrayed as dark, as very dark hair, kind of dark skin. But she was actually had very light hair, very pale. But because movie producers think, oh, she's Spanish, she's going to be kind of dark. She wasn't at all. She was very fair. So that's just one tiny little... Okay. Yeah, but I hate it when they get the history.
When they get the history wrong.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I try not... I'm a lover of all movies. I try not to discriminate on any genre. I feel like if I'm willing to suspend a little bit of disbelief for something like a Star Wars or a Star Trek, I'm willing to suspend a little of it for historical fiction, as long as it's not egregious, or, in the same way that I wouldn't suspend belief for something egregious in like a sci-fi film. If it was really, really wrong, and it was like The Patriot was one of those examples where even as a high school student, I knew that was like really off.
Yeah.
But there's some really good ones. I loved Life is Beautiful is one of my favorite movies. It's about World War II.
Oh my God, I loved that movie.
Yeah.
I cried and I cried in the theater when that. Oh my God!
I know, right? It was like the waterworks were going off, and I never stopped to be like, how are the costumes in this? How are the story gets you, and you just get wrapped up in it. On the other end of the spectrum, Inglourious Bastards was a pretty good movie, and there's basically nothing about that is like anywhere near historically
accurate.
That's
true. It's one of my
so you just gotta like turn your brain off and say like, all right, how's the movie?
Even though in that case you wish that was this.
Yeah. You do. I totally do. That would be amazing.
You mentioned the barracks. Kate and I recently were at the barracks.
Yeah, we
toured right here. We took the children during Take Your Child to Work Day over there, and you mentioned the conditions of the American Revolution soldier, which were awful as far as we were led to believe.
Absolutely.
So I haven't really seen a movie. I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist, but I haven't really seen one to really show you like how bad it was. Not in combat. You always see movies that are like combat is terrible.
Yeah.
But just like sleeping in the barracks, I mean, I was stunned.
I couldn't believe how many people they fit into like a 5x5 with like 3 bunk beds or
naked.
Top to toe.
Giving each other, they were giving each other smallpox deliberately so that they wouldn't like die from it. And
the fact that in the 18th century, they thought bathing was a bad thing.
I know.
So
I'm thinking,
can you imagine the smell of the Continental
and the
Army?
lice. I'm just thinking all of the bacteria and the I can't.
That's why I just couldn't imagine. They're explaining how everybody was naked in the beds together with the smallpox and the lice, and I'm like, can I just sleep on the floor?
Can
I just
go on the road?
Can I go home? Can I maybe like de-enlist? I believe in the cause and all, but
I'd like to be a pacifist.
Yeah.
Please.
Having studied this, I have nothing but the greatest admiration for those common soldiers, because they were all Iron Men. I don't know how we in the 21st century could survive. If we were thrown back under those conditions, could we really
Are you kidding
survive?
me? If I don't have my exact bed with my exact pillow with the fan on, like I'm not sleeping. So
it's true.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're all agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. The next one is customer service. And you and I bonded over the phone on our mutual hatred of some of the customer service experiences that we've had. currently I'm in the midst of a customer service battle with my water provider, and it's not like a New Jersey utility.
Oh, I was gonna say like the utility. Okay.
No, so I don't like the taste of the water that comes on my faucet. So I was buying. No, I'm not. No, because how do you know that the filter works? Because how do you know that the filter's working?
Because you get a good filter. What do you have to like test it chemically? Is that what you're asking me? How do you know that the water you're getting delivered is totally clean?
It tastes good.
I mean, water shouldn't taste like anything, right?
I agree, which is why
her water tastes like something.
It tastes like something. There's a weird aftertaste.
Right.
When I discovered that there's an acceptable level of arsenic.
Arsenic?
In all water, and I was like, nope. Tapping out. I'm not. So anyway, I now subscribe to. Some people just
can't hold their arsenic, right?
Nice, well played.
Thank you.
So anyway, I get a water delivery service now. I have like a water cooler, bubbler in my house with like 3-gallon bottles, and they get delivered and then they get picked up, and when they're empty, and I'm having a situation where they keep messing up the delivery and the pickup. So I currently have...
What, do you have to like sign for it or something?
No, they just don't tell me in enough time. So I get the reminder when I'm already at work versus the night before when I could just put out the empties. So I currently have 11 empty 3-gallon water bottles in my living room. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's kind of annoying. So anyway, I've called their customer service.
Can you imagine how much less space a filter would take up in your house?
Not willing to have that conversation.
Are you trying to sell filters here?
Yeah,
I'm not willing to do that. But anyway, I've called their customer service line multiple times in the last 2 weeks, and it's just, there's no resolution, there's no help, there's no discount, there's no help for my pain and suffering. It's just, oh, sorry. We'll reschedule that. Will you? Will you really reschedule it? Will it really happen this time? We hope so. I think that's what she said to me today. We hope so.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of customer service right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think like you could have some amazing customer service experiences and some awful ones. Amazon's a good example. Like on both ends of the spectrum. Like usually Amazon will send me something and it's broken, and I just tell the website, like, yeah, it arrived broken. And they're like, oh, yeah, send it back. Before we even get it, we're going to send you the replacement. You'll have it tomorrow. Great. But sometimes, like, my Fire TV stick died. You know, just out of nowhere. We were watching TV, and it just stopped. And, you know, they give you some tips on the website and how to fix it. None of it worked. It was dead. So I jumped on the thing, and I was totally expecting them to be like, oh, yeah, just send it back. You'll have another one tomorrow. No, I was in an hour-and-a-half conversation with them. You know, like the chat conversations, because, you know, you can't call them anymore.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
So, and they were telling me to, like, go through, try this. I'm like, it's dead, Jim. Like, it's just not working. Yeah. Like, it was driving me crazy. And it got to a point where I'm just like, look, it's broken. What are you going to do? You know, and they have me giving them the serial number and my model TV and all this. And I'm like, it's broken. It's within the warranty period. Just tell me that you'll take it back and be done. An hour and a half or so later, you know, they finally arrived at that point. And I was just like, it drives you nuts, you know? Time is the most precious thing we have. So I hate it when they waste it.
You know, what you were just saying, and you know, Kate and I had, you know, talked about this on the phone about customer service. And I'm having a particular problem with a business software where there's not even an 800 number you can call.
Nope.
And you, like you were saying, chat. You can't talk to a human being. You can't get them to call you back. The chat is ridiculous.
I hate the chat.
And for the most part,
because it's not even with a real person. It's not even with a real person.
Not only that,
they want to do it by email, and then they don't respond to the email for like things, because you know that it's going overseas somewhere. It's not even being serviced locally in the United States somewhere in your time zone. It's, you know, like, oh, we'll get back to you within 24 hours.
Right.
Well, that's right, because it's going someplace on the other side of the world in a different time zone, and they don't even have it manned 24/7. So it's crazy. And then my local cell provider has been keeping us on, you know, hold with some issues where you're on hold for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
so
on.
I had a question about my bill of my local cell phone. I'm not going to say the name of the company.
You notice I didn't say mine either.
But I had a question about my bill because it kept going incrementally up over the last 3 months, like by 50 cents, a dollar, 3 months in a row. And I'm like, that's weird. What's happening here? I knew I couldn't call because I would never get a person. So I had to drive to my stupid mall, park on a Saturday afternoon, walk all the way through
With your actual legs.
with my actual legs, bring my bill, and go to the counter and be like, can you help me figure this out? And they did.
Okay.
But he was annoyed with me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He was annoyed.
I could be
Heaven
selling
forbid you walk
something
in
to
there and,
somebody.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's probably got numbers. He's supposed to be selling phones or upgrades or tablets or whatever. And I felt bad, but not really. Like, I can't even call. I can't call. What am I supposed to do to get this fixed?
The one that drives me the craziest
Well, now
is
you're
when you
giving
have
me an idea. Maybe that's what I have to do.
You should.
I need to take this down to the cell phone
You need a person?
store and say, listen, I'm not leaving here until you get this fixed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Call your boss. You've got a boss, right? And he's got a boss. Call him.
Yeah.
Gosh.
No, I was gonna say, like, the thing that drives me craziest is when you tell, like, because there's always a story you have to tell. You know, you can't just be like, the fire stick is broken.
Right.
And then, like, great, 5 minutes later, they bring somebody else on.
You gotta tell
and
the
I'm like,
story.
wait, why do I have to tell the whole story again? Can't you just scroll up through the chat? Or, you know, you were saying that the thing was, like, being recorded. Can't you just, like, go back and
Just listen.
Like, you know, they're typing away, like, putting notes in the screen. Nowhere in the notes does it say what I'm calling about.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
I hate when I have to tell the story. And that applies to everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you call the doctor and, like, you have to tell them what's wrong. And then, like, the assistant comes on the phone and you're like, oh, okay. And then you get there and you have to tell the receptionist and then you have to tell the assistant, the doctor.
yes.
And you're just like, can't somebody write this down? You know? I hate that. That's
You know what you should do? You should write
it down and just like hand it to each person.
Yeah.
It works when you're not on the phone, you know,
Yeah.
like at the doctor's office, sure, like hand them a piece of paper. It would be so funny, you hand them a piece of paper and they're like, oh, this has got to be bad. You have the cold? You have a flu? You couldn't just tell me that? You couldn't just hear it from
This is
somebody
just a
else?
list of symptoms for the flu. You know that, sir, right?
exactly.
And you're like, yes.
Yes,
Are you
and I
mute?
just didn't want to tell 10 people, all right? Some of those flu symptoms can be kind of embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think we were all awful on that, right?
Sure.
Last one, riding lawnmowers.
Boy, that came out of left field.
They did.
Yeah, I wish, you know, I heard that they're working on kind of like Roombas for your lawn, and I so want that.
I saw one at the
Yeah.
Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah, how did it go?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was this little, just the size of a Roomba, in a little fenced-in pen with grass, and the grass was beautiful, and it was just kind of moving along, no noise. I couldn't believe how quiet it was.
But-
Didn't sound like
but
a lawnmower.
How does it not suck your dog in?
Well, you don't put your dog out while all that's
don't
going
know.
on.
Or the like random little
Probably
mouse
the
or
same way
chipmunk
that
or
a-
something.
Yeah, you know, like you go to empty the bag and
There's blood everywhere.
This got dark really quickly.
No, there's no bag. There's no attachment
Yeah.
to hold the leaf.
Mulching.
There's
mower?
none of that. No, it just flips the grass that's been cut out around it as it goes.
Yeah.
So there's no attachment to
Uses
collect
it as
the-
fertilizer.
So
Right.
I guess that's called mulching mower.
Yeah.
Multi-blade. It's interesting because in my youth I had a riding mower at my home, and of course this was before I had a driver's license. And the best part of having the riding mower was I can remember during one snowstorm, because we had a mini snowplow on the front of it that you could maybe plow an inch of snow.
Yeah.
It was a very low powered thing, but I can remember driving to a party on New Year's Eve in a snowstorm through town in my little thing, because I didn't have a driver's license, but I could drive the lawn tractor
Was
down
this
the
in
street.
Springfield?
Yeah.
You drove it?
I drove it down one of the main streets in Springfield to go to a high school party, and then I drove it home. Again, it was during a snowstorm, because the police would think, if they stopped me, I would have said, "Oh, I'm going to, plow my neighbor's
Oh
driveway."
my gosh.
Luckily, I
Sneaky,
never got
sneaky.
stopped. So that was a high school memory. But
That's a baller move.
That is a problem.
in the meantime, I've gone from that in my youth to having just a walk behind with power-driven wheels, and now I've advanced to the fact where I pay someone to come and cut the lawn.
Mission
that's the
accomplished.
real-
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling someday when I can't afford that, I'll be back behind the lawnmower. Luckily, I don't have a huge yard, and I could still deal with it in my dotage.
I would give up other luxuries in order to continue to throw money at that problem, I think. But like you, I had a riding lawnmower when I was young. So when I was 12, my parents bought 10 acres of land in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota, and they built a house. And when I was 13, we moved in, and I was far away from the crowds, far away from the city. And that 10 acres had to get mowed, or at least the front 5 in front of the house. There was some lawn there. So my dad bought like this mini John Deere tractor that had a riding lawnmower component, and it had the plow in the front, and it also had a rototiller. Do you know what a rototiller is?
Yeah.
So when you plant a garden or crop of any kind, you have to rotate the earth so that
Oh, sure, yeah.
it's fresh and soft. You can't just dig a hole and put some seeds in and hope for the best. The whole thing needs to be kind of tilled first. And so this rototiller will do like, I don't know, this much at a time, and then you go up and down and up and down. So I learned how to drive on the John Deere, and I was driving well before I had a driver's license. And I remember that it was a clutch, and the speeds, there were 2 speeds. There was rabbit and there was turtle. And there was reverse.
I think I remember those.
Yeah.
You're just like, gun it, rabbit, the whole time.
That's right. And the rabbit was not that fast.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I wish that I had worn ear safety.
Sure, yeah.
Because
Got to, yeah.
I did not. I instead wore my headphones, and I listened to music on volume 11, and I'm a little hard of hearing as a result of that. Yeah.
I was going to say, how do you even hear the music, even at 11, over the...
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
But I have to ask, having driven to a high school party,
Yes.
did you ever take it off campus and drive to a friend's house?
That's
No.
insane. I'm
No.
sorry.
A friend's house in Minnesota could have been a very
like
long
2
day.
gallons of gas in there.
That's exactly right. It was too far away. I wouldn't have made it.
You
But
wouldn't
I
have made it.
did drive the tractor from like the front yard to the back barn because it was a quicker trip than walking.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's legitimate.
It was. So like if I needed to like ask my dad a question and he was out in the barn doing something, whatever.
I mean, you grew up
I have
in...
to ask, were you a farm girl? I mean,
Not officially. We didn't farm and sell to like the U.S. government or something, but we had a huge garden and we had chickens at one point, and my dad has always like hunted deer and duck and whatever. So very much into eating what we kill, harvesting what we eat.
And here you are in
I know.
Jersey.
I know. Funny story, when they had chickens at one point, and the rooster, they named him Stew, as in chicken stew, because they knew at some
Okay.
point they were going to have to kill him. And my dad, I know, it's just this very dark...
awful.
I know, it is. So we were, I wasn't there. My dad was getting some eggs one morning, and Stew jumped on his back. And they've got like really sharp kind of talons. And, they're very territorial. And so Stu jumped on my dad's back, and my dad, kind of took him off and said to him, if that happens again, there's going to be a problem.
Like, listen, mister.
That's exactly right. The next morning, it happened again.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. I can see where this is going.
I see where this is going. Vinny's going to have to, like, play something over this part of the show.
Swear to God, my dad took that rooster and went, bam!
Wow.
Stew for dinner.
Oh.
Wow. See,
It's a different world
I'm
out
picturing you growing up in Minnesota and there just being like snow everywhere all the time, because that's what Fargo has led me to
Yeah.
believe that area of the country is like. And I guess that can't be the case if you're growing crops and all that.
there.
Yeah.
No, it's very hot and humid in the summertime.
Wow.
Yeah, you would
Okay.
never expect that, but anyway.
Anyway,
So we killed that one.
We went
Yeah.
all over the place today.
Sure.
We killed that one, yeah.
so we got 2 left here. It's what would be one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
Boy, well, I'm sure there are many now, and I'm sure my daughter probably goes, why does he keep laying trips on me? And no.
And actually, wait, before you answer it, I should mention, because I forgot as I was asking it to you, this is going to be the last time that this question gets answered. Kate and I decided that we're
done with it.
retiring this question.
I have that honor.
You
do.
do. You have that honor because, we found that just about everyone that comes on the show has the same answer.
Same answer.
And I won't say it before you go.
Okay.
But if it's the same or not, I'll say afterwards, and that'll
please
help you.
do.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Well, do you already have your answer locked in?
I have the answer that I was going to use.
Okay, so the answer that just about everybody gives is, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, chill out. Calm down.
Yeah, chill out. And so if there's one piece of advice you could get from other people's business, that would be it. And if there are two,
Well, thank
it's
you.
this.
Actually, what I was going to say,
Sure.
and maybe it's because of my particular age, is you should be looking over the horizon and saving towards retirement.
Oh.
That's a good
That's
one.
a
Nobody's
really
ever done
good
that
one. No one's
Yeah.
ever done that one.
Because I know that in my youth, when I had opportunity, had windfalls and this, that, and the other thing, I was the type of guy who was all about
Let it roll.
getting that extra toy, or I can now go on this trip, or whatever. And now I'm saying, boy, if I had put that money away and had it work for me, I'd be in a better position to retire when retirement age comes up. And so, if I had a chance to say something to my younger self, I would say, make a plan and stick to it, and don't let your current desires run away with your good common sense.
Mark, that is a perfect way to end out that segment.
I agree.
Permanently.
I think that's awesome.
Yes.
Boy, I can't wait to see the next podcast and see the new question.
Yeah, we'll figure that
Yeah,
out.
we'll figure that out.
We got some time.
Eventually.
So the only other thing we got, let's say people want to get something printed, either on the small side or on the big side. How could they get a hold of you guys?
Hummel Integrated Marketing Solutions at www.hummelsolutions.com.
So that's HUMMEL.
Yes.
Solutions.
We're not into porcelain. We're into printing.
I was going to make a joke, but I didn't want to be confusing.
HummelSolutions.com, and you can of course get a hold of me by going to Mark, M-A-R-K, at HummelSolutions.com. Special offer: if you mention this podcast or YouTube,
Here we go.
we'll give you a 10% discount on your first order.
Cool.
So,
Fabulous.
it's a way to try us out. If you need any sort of print marketing materials, we're your guys.
That's awesome.
Love
Thank you
it.
so much.
Thank you. Wow, okay, so I guess that's our show.
That'll be it.
Thank you to our listeners, especially the subscribers. We so appreciate the love. Thank you to New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, the official sponsor of the show. They do home, auto, and workers' comp, so check them out if you need some updated coverage. And finally, thank you to Mark Hurwitz from Hummel Integrated Marketing Solutions. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun.
The pleasure has been all ours.
Thanks, Judy.
100%. See you next time. Bye.